White and Purple by DoctorDerpy. Read by Present Perfect. I dedicate this poem to the Rare Ship Queen. I thank you for that fic you do and cute stuff in between. 1. White was what she saw that night, shimmering bright it seemed. Her ride inside a tide of light, glittering while she dreamed. She rode in the surrounding glow, it spread from hoof to horn. A single thought flew through the flow and struck the unicorn. As no one was at all in sight, her gasp went quite unheard. The white is me, I am the white. This is all quite absurd. So intense was her pondering, she almost missed the view. Another color wandering, a pretty purple hue. Interest piqued as she flew close, the lilac and the black. She almost got there, but then froze. She felt it looking back. From there she woke up with a start. Her breaths came sharp and short. In response to a drumming heart, she welcomed the report. Moonlight rays sneaked past the curtain. She went to start the day. What was dreamt, she felt uncertain. Come breakfast, gone away. Weary-eyed, her sister entered. A simple greeting said. Unsaid words sought to be ventured, but silence came instead. And this was how it often was, her sister filled with gloom, and friends and family because she escaped from the moon. It hadn't used to be this way, all deadened, dark and dim, but since the sun had gone away, the world was sorely grim. It started on the 1000th year, the sun's celebration. That's when the nightmare first appeared, made her proclamation. My beloved subjects, she said, sneering her endeavor. From this moment forth, she pledged, night will last forever. In a whirl of wind and darkness, the nightmare then begun. One fell swoop, a move so heartless, she stole away the sun. Locked away their gentle ruler, her students too were slew. Killed those who dared to duel her, that wicked nightmare moon. 2. Her dream began with naught in sight, then came into being, the familiar shine of purest white she remembered seeing. And also that same sensation she'd gotten from last night, where throughout the full duration she'd felt the sense of flight. In a second it all came back, memories in a blur. She pictured purple through the black, she pictured she and her. Wait, her? She thought. It can't be true, all I saw was color. But I'm a hue, could she be too? Could there be another? But with thought she flew ahead, she searched the void in vain. Perhaps I'll try next night instead, I'll search this whole domain. But just before the sleeper woke, a dulcet tone she heard. Hello? Is someone there? It spoke. Too late her body stirred. She quickly sat up, thinking hard. That dream had felt so real. The thoughts continued to bombard. What is that warmth I feel? Her next day went by in a flash, too thrilled beyond belief. She tailored outfits in a dash. Her wish the day was brief. But before she could fall asleep and see that light once more, she had to purchase by the heap from many stands and stores. She first came to an apple stand, whose fruit would make a snack. She smiled to see the stall was manned by her friend Applejack. Hello, dear, how are you today? She greeted her kindly. Did the spells I found help make your farm look more lively? Hey there, Rares, yeah, they helped just fine, as you can plainly see. I downed the prices on the sign to lower that here fee. My, what honesty, she replied, as she chose her fill. Paid for the pick that she'd eyed, coins went in the till. So scrumptious snacks were bought and sold, and she continued on. To many other stores she strolled, till all her bits were gone. When she was done, she ran back home, wind rushing through her fur, then closed the blinds, no moon should roam, while she searched for her. 3. Third time's the charm, White had muttered, and then she fell asleep. Spying a shine, her heart had fluttered, until she heard her weep. Voice so quiet she almost missed that tearful little cry. Her heart did wrench and jerk and twist, she surely thought she'd die. She rushed, she sped towards the sound, a blaze of purest white. No one will cry while I'm around, her words were flashing bright. Up ahead a rich purple shone, a gorgeous shining star. It was time for two to be one, no watching from afar. She shot with speed in a great arc, fast as she was able. With lady's grace she found her mark, glomped the lilac angel. Her first thought was, wow, this is warm. And next, there's so much fluff. She squeezed real tight around the form. Oh, she couldn't get enough. The soft, warm shape let out a gasp. Its eyes widened in shock. It felt the firm squeeze of the grasp, released a little squawk. The unicorn let go quite fast, abashed and blushing red. "I am sorry," she spoke aghast. "How rude of me," she said. But then the white paused as she saw the sight across from her. At Purple, looking back in awe, 2 tear tracks in her fur. White saw a pretty mare ahead, both gorgeous and with grace. That warmth she felt began to spread from middle to her face. Both hues looked at one another, floating in empty space. White began to flush and stutter, heart beating double pace. Purple began to giggle soft as she dismissed her woe. Her eyes sparkled, her heart aloft, and she began to glow. She then took pity on the mare, who still had cat-caught tongue. "You brought me out of my despair. For now," she said, head hung. As White still could not yet speak, she floated up quite near, smiled soft, lifted a hoof to cheek, and wiped away a tear. The purple star looked back at her. "Please don't cry," White implored. "It hurts to see such pain occur. It will not be ignored." And then Purple was hugged once more. She let out a small squeak, and inside she felt her heart soar. "Thank you," she said, voice meek. It took some time till they parted, and White then asked aloud, "When was it that your dream started inside this darkened shroud?" The purple angel shook her head, and smiled then, shyly back. "I've been here far too long," she said, "so long that I've lost track." Winced as she saw the look on White, the sharp look in her eye. "The reason you are in this plight, may I please ask why?" "I was forced into this dark void by way of wicked spell, one that Nightmare Moon employed, and so now here I dwell." She began to sob as she spoke. "I've been alone so long." Something inside the White then broke. She made herself be strong. "I will free you, no matter what. I will see you get out. I swear I'll give it all I've got." White claimed it clear and loud. As she looked to those helpful eyes of her shining purple deer, the brutal waking world did rise and made her disappear. She saw the small grin Purple made. It all felt like a dream. And even as the mare did fade, she saw the happy beam. 4. She had not smiled for quite some time. A week, a month, a year? The day was fine. She felt divine, instead of fear and cheer. Her large grin contrasting the crowd as she skipped throughout the town. "What a nice day," she said out loud, but all she got was frown. "Is that a happy face I see?" gasped a voice beside her. She turned her head to see Pinky, whose own smile was wider. "Yes, that's right, I'm feeling splendid," she said to her pink friend. Around the market they wended, buying all odds and ends. Pinky pointed out her own shop, looking at it with pride. The gingerbread shop with cherry top. "Here, please, come step inside." She was led by the pink mare to a table by the wall, where a stack of cupcakes were there, and standing 4 feet tall. "These are all free, they're all on me," then shoved one down White's throat. She laughed and pranced away with glee, singing many a note. White then looked down at the table, then glancing at the door, she'd get home soon as she was able, but first she wanted more. In some time she was home in bed at 8 p.m. precise. Her sister was interested at why this happened twice. "Oh, I am just tired," she'd replied as she climbed the staircase. She felt the guilt because she lied, but kept it off her face. She saw the white glow of her coat and looked around in glee. She saw the purple, which did note of where she had to be. Dashing fast like a bird of prey, she began to pick up speed. Her friend let out a frightened neigh, as she was scared indeed. "You won't always greet me," she said, "by hitting with a hug?" White answered not. Instead, she gave a cheeky shrug. The two floated in empty space, unwilling to let go. They relished in the warm embrace, creating a bright glow. White let go reluctantly, and loudly cleared her throat. "You are looking quite abundantly better than last we spoke." Purple looked away and said, "Yes, I feel much better." Looking now at her instead, "Thanks to a certain mare." White hid a grin, then waved a hoof. "Darling, you flatter me." She tried and failed to seem aloof. Her blush was plain to see. They both shone as they floated near the white and purple star. "Say, I did not ask your name, dear. For me, that's quite bizarre." "Twilight Sparkle," was her reply, straight back, putting on airs, to which White giggled, voice pitch high, as she laughed at the mare. "Well, what's your name?" she asked the White. "My name is Rarity." "I'm glad you're here," mumbled Twilight with great sincerity. Though it felt like no time at all, both mares had talked for ages. White could feel that familiar call of her first waking stages. 5. With each new night their friendship grew, each dream they had a blast, and as good things quite often do, each night flew by too fast. Weeks of talks had passed them both by, a month or two at least. It took some time till she told why she could not be released. Celestia, she was my friend, mentor to be exact, and I knew how it all could end. Instead, I did not act. And on the 1000th year I knew that Nightmare Moon would rise. I could have gone to stop her too, and yet I was not wise. So now I'm trapped here in my mind, forever in this space. I thought no pony could ever find another in this place. They both then sought the other's gaze, as they both drew nearer. Rarity's mind and cheeks ablaze, feelings never clearer. And somehow though you found me here, and somehow you broke through. She looked at her through happy tears. I think that I love Twilight Sparkle. Now I can see, boomed a voice so fierce. Another who is close to thee, and evil blue eyes pierced. 6. With a start, Rarity woke fast, and to her great surprise, when she felt her hoof brush pass, the tears blurring her eyes. She shook her head from side to side, trying to clear her mind. What had happened? Why had she cried, and left her friend behind? And in that time for it to take, for her to clear her head, she saw a figure shiver and shake down underneath her bed. Are you quite all right, Opal dear? She asked her frightened pet. The feline looked around in fear for a non-existent threat. Pony's concern slowly grew for her skittish feline. She then decided what to do to make sure she was fine. With a rush of her ablutions, makeup and food were done. She was ready to find solutions. She set off in a run. And soon enough she reached the house of a shy yellow mare, who was quieter than a mouse, but quite the pet carer. A few knocks, and she answered slow. Yes? She then stuttered. A Fluttershy, dear, it's me, hello. Hi, the pony uttered. My cat is acting odd, you see. I left her at my place. I hope that you would come with me and figure out her case. Of course I would. Please lead the way, then gasped the yellow mare. To Ponyville they walked away, knew not what they'd find there. As they drew nearer to the town, they could see something wrong. It seemed that no pony was around, which made their worry strong. Then they heard her before they saw their wicked empress speak. You foes who hide and then withdraw, there's someone whom I seek. There is a pony in this place that dares to insult me, who somehow leaves their own dream space to talk with some pony. This pony is my prisoner for what she's said and done. If anyone here speaks to her, you'd better learn to run. Two ponies hid inside a bush as they listened out in fear. Instead of the quiet of hush, they heard a noise zoom near. A rainbow streak flew by with speed at their evil ruler. The pony's attack did not succeed. It couldn't have been less cooler. A darkened tendril smacked her hard and she fell to the ground. With you I think I should discard, but you're fun to keep around. And Rainbow Dash stood up in rage and stared the Empress down. Just so we're both on the same page, you don't deserve that crown. Nightmare Moon only laughed with glee. Oh, you do make me laugh. She then stopped and glared abruptly. Next time you'll be in half. She turned her back on the whole town and simply walked away. The rainbow mare fumed on the ground, then sighed in some dismay. 7. She could not sleep a wink that night, no matter how she tried. She could not beat her severe fright. She stared around red-eyed. Those words of peril would not cease roaming around her brain, and in her mind she had no peace for fear of being slain. When morning came she got up pale, more than normal you see. She made some breakfast cold and frail, she knew she'd have to sleep. Her sister came in looking dour. Hey, she said, voice low. Then she saw her sister and how her expression was so-so. Her look became one of concern. Are you well? She then asked. She got a small smile in return, and hug that came in fast. After only a few hours passed, she felt her eyelids fall, and then she found herself aghast. In the void she did dwell. She panicked as she looked around for a quick way out. Her poor heart stopped then when she found a certain purple snout. As Twilight's face was right up close, smirking and looking sly. I wondered when you'd choose to doze and maybe come stop by. Do you not remember last night? Rarity cried in fear. The nightmare came, told us our plight. She found out I was here. Twilight's face then drained of color as she yelped in shock. She panicked with brightness duller, her breath running amok. She must have cast a spell to cause memory to avoid. Her words were drowned out by what was a scream throughout the void. And Rarity could quickly tell who it was that screamed. That voice belonged to Sweetie Belle, breaking through while she dreamed. The two stars looked to the other and hugged just one more time. Both bound, interwoven color, their largest, saddest shine. Terrified of what she would find, Rarity sped downstairs, her sister hanging in a bind in a room of broken wares. You're the one who somehow broke through. So I found you at last. The Night-Knight's grin then slowly grew at her face, aghast. She got a grip and stepped in firm. Leave my sister alone. The ropes grew tight, her sister squirmed, and then her form was thrown. She yelped in fear as she fell, thinking it was the end. A surge of hooves caught Sweetie Belle. At the door stood their friends. Stood Applejack and Pinkie Pie, who gave a little wave, and Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy, all standing tall and brave. Don't hurt our friend, Rainbow exclaimed. Yeah, yelled aloud the rest. You dare duel me, you will be tamed, the Night-Knight thought them pest. 5 brave mares ran at the devil while Sweetie shuffled back. The Night-Knight crouched to their level as she welcomed the attack. They fought with speed, they fought with strength, they almost could have won, but they couldn't fight for such great lengths. In time, they all were done. Her friends lay sadly, breathing hard. We're sorry, they had said. Though Rarity was hurt and charred, she smiled at them instead. You fools fought brave, but stupid too, for all of you here lack the power I have over you. And everything was black. 8. Alone, 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 alone. That's all she felt and knew. In this timeless void on her own, she now knew what Twilight went through. She floated in a cloud of thought as dark and grim they were, and when she tried to think of naught, her thoughts went back to her. Oh, how she missed that shyful smile and cutest little blush. She thought of that purple shine while sadness came in a rush. She clamped her tearing eyes shut tight. She screamed aloud in hurt. Her glow began to shine bright white. A sound made her alert. A sound she wanted more than most, of someone she adored. And she sounded so very close, her mind and heart then soared. But she opened her bleary eyes. There was no purple sheen. It was only tricks and lies, only black could be seen. And then a pink light lit her side. She gave a yelp of shock. Rarity! A high voice cried. What she saw made her gawk. Pinkie Pie floated beside her, shining the brightest pink, and hugged Rarity in a blur faster than she could blink. How were you even here? She asked, jaw dropping in surprise. I saw your white glow as I passed. Couldn't miss you if I tried. And if you shine real bright right now, we may well find the rest. Rarity slumped. I don't know how, she said, feeling depressed. She felt a hoof placed on her side, and Pink then looked at White. If we work as one, we'll collide with all the other lights. A small smile came to Rarity. She wiped away her tears. She saw with higher clarity. Her mind turned gears. When was it that she shined brightest? She thought back in her mind. It seemed she shined her light best when her emotions inclined. So she needed to concentrate, build up her emotion. She thought of Twilight's lonely fate. The lake turned to ocean. Her coat then lit up like the sun. Her white eyes glowed, blinding. Pinkie, let us go now as one. Our friends will need finding. They flew at a terrific speed, looking for more colors. They both had, without words, agreed they would find the others. They discovered the orange hue in no time at all. Applejack said as in they flew, no way I miss y'all. They found one after another, almost much too easy. They now had just one more color. The thought made White queasy. We'll find her, the other colors said, while White silently prayed. The most lovely thing was ahead, a pretty purple shade. 9. Twilight had been so terrified of her friend's demise. Hot burning tears fell as she cried, till a light caught her eyes. This bright light was like no other, a shining white beacon. It was joined by 4 more colors which began to streak in. They all flew in a stream of hue towards the dim lilac. As she stared, her excitement grew at the mare looking back. To say that Twilight was amazed, well, that didn't quite cut it. The round of hugs had left her dazed, well worth it, she'd admit. These are my friends from Ponyville, they're stuck in here as well. Rarity's voice gave her a thrill, her happiness had swelled. She held her in a vice-like grip, never letting her go. Teary eyes and trembling lip, her light began to glow. And that was when the darkness cracked, white freedom slipping through. Twilight gasped, there must be an impact with so many of you. She thought for a second, then she said, quick, everyone, group hug. They looked quite interested, then joined in with a shrug. Think of freedom, she then shouted. Think of banishing her. A large crack grew, then sprouted. The world began to blur. 10. There was a brilliant flash of light, then 6 mares hit the ground. Each had a look of such delight as they all looked around. They were inside a forest now, surrounding them with trees. This is where I was, and thought how I'd save the day with ease. Because, girls, I know a way, Twilight then went on. A way to bring about the day and sun where it belongs. They listened to her tell her tale of gems that were forgot. They all agreed they would prevail. There's no way they would not. And so it was our heroes fought the ever-freezing sides. They came across just what they sought to finally turn the tides. It took much strength, more virtues too, to manage not to fail. And they smote their foe through and through, but you quite know this tale. Everyone on the globe all froze at the wondrous sight. The moon had set while the sun rose. The world was filled with light. The 6 ponies cried and cheered along with the whole world. Twilight wept as the princess appeared, and at her hooves she curled. But the princess embraced her friend, weeping along as well. This was my fault. I did not send you off before I fell. They celebrated for 6 days, a party overdue. Rarity's friends joined in the craze, and Luna was there too. 2 close ponies were sat alone, Rarity and Twilight, in a bedroom inside a home, basking in the sunlight. You tried to say a week before something when we were Hugh. White leaned in and smooched her more. I also love you too. The end.